Sunday, 10th of November 2025, and in this evening's show, we purr over the incredible 3-1 demolition of high-flying Cardiff City as Ian Evatt continues his perfect start, 3 wins in 3 games in charge, which puts a whole new perspective on the season ahead. I'm John Aspinall, and this is Seaside's podcast, match reaction show, Blackpool 3, Cardiff City 1.
Change the world, a small town from the north of England with a great tradition.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Seaside's podcast on Monday evening. On the panel this evening are Matt and Nick. No Tim this evening, Nick, but as Dave Whiteside says there, can Tim go to Italy every week? And the great man did call it, didn't he? What happened?
Yes, he did. Where's he been? I think he was at Inter Milan Lazio yesterday in another game earlier on, picking up a few more scarves. Yeah, he can continue his football tourism if it means we play like that every week.
Matt, I don't know if you heard the last pod, but Tim said when we were doing the round the table match predictions, said because I'm not going, we'll probably win 3-0 or something. So yeah, he almost got it right.
Yeah, well, this is it. So I'm going away myself on Wednesday for a few weeks. So I anticipate the same good scoring run to follow. I'll miss all the best part of the season typically, but I'll be happy if that happens. I won't mind at all.
I was just looking at FOTMOB before we came on all recent form, last 5. This is unbelievable. Since we lost that Stockport game, unbeaten in 5, 4 wins, 1 draw, 3 wins out of 3 for Ian Evatt. Those Bolton fans, what the hell were they on about?
Well, I mean, that's it. I mean, it wasn't the first thought in my head actually when I was thinking back about the game on Saturday was how Evatt was supposed to be this sort of, boring, turgid sort of whatever the Bolton fans were calling him a couple of 3 weeks ago, manager. It was as free-flowing and as open a game as we've seen in a long time. And absolutely, I mean, such entertainment. If you were a neutral coming to that game on Saturday, you'd have been purring away after 90 minutes of watching that. It was really good to watch.
I've gone into this habit recently of when watching games, I'll open the notes app. I'll make my own match notes as I go through. I'll do it watching it on the telly or actually at the game, just so I've got reminders in front of me for this. And I was on my phone like all game, like, oh shit, something else has happened. My eyes and head were up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. I've not seen a game like that for God knows how long. And long may it continue.
Yeah, absolutely. The Blackpool way is back, perhaps. Who knows?
Okay, as ever, starting 11. Let's go through it. Again, FOTMOB got it wrong. For all the people making comments about this lineup, the formation's wrong. It ain't me, Gov. We get our data from FOTMOB, and they've laid it out as a 4-4-2. Never going to be a 4-4-2, Nick, was it?
No, it wasn't. We were looking at it obviously pre-match when it came out, and best we could work out, I think, was probably 3-4-1-2. So interesting to see. I think for me, particularly for Josh Bowler, how he was going to do. If he was playing in that kind of more central role in those pockets of space. And as we're going to talk about, he did very, very well. But overall, I was pretty pleased with the lineup. He's obviously still a little bit limited to a degree with, in some positions because of injuries. We've still got a few out, but also a couple back as well. Good to see Honeyman back in there. Obviously, Coulson was back in as well, and Heckway, Horsfall, and Casey as the 3 centre halves. We're playing 3, then they pick themselves, don't they? So, yeah, reasonably attacking lineup as well. So pretty happy overall with it for me.
As Matt, as Nick's mentioned there, it was a back 3. That was 3 centre halves, Coulson and left wing back, CJ right wing back, Brown and Honeyman holding. Bowler in the 10, if you will, and Bloxman, Fletcher up front. The only potential negative there is CJ as a right wing back, perhaps.
Yeah, I think you could also argue that Ashworth's done well in the last few games, hasn't he? I think the last time I was on, I sort of touted him as the man of the match, and we don't see what goes on in training, and he went for a more adventurous wing back type of player as opposed to Lyons and Ashworth, who have had the sort of the starting berths for a couple of games. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's sort of like for like in many ways, isn't it? But it's good that we've got a couple of extra bodies back in the squad, because we still are on a sort of a paper thin sort of squad at the moment, really. And Honeyman coming back is massive. And the fact that, as we'll go on to talk about, the fact that he lasted 90 minutes was so impressive. Just hope he's got a lot of powers of recovery, because he's going to, if he continues like that, he's got thousands of kilometres to cover between now and the end of the season.
Nick, look at this comment. Not having Evans in the CM was absolutely transformative for the team. That conversation was had amongst ourselves at the game.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see, how much of a chance he gets under Evo. But I think the two that played there, Honeyman and Brown, for me are probably your first couple of choices there in the centre, and they've just got a bit more, I think, mobility about them. For me, Evans, he's kind of that, almost like quarterback, isn't it? Likes to slow it down. He can spray passes. Whether they're always to one of our players or not is another matter. But I just thought on it was just a bit more all action, wasn't it? With Honeyman buzzing around and Brown looks to get forward as well. So yeah, I think it just means we can shift the ball a bit quicker with those two, as well as having the defensive qualities as well, because they're both very good at winning the ball and breaking up play as well.
Going to start the game, Matt, the banner there says strong start again. 2 games running where we've seen Blackpool playing on the front foot, and we were certainly a handful for Cardiff at the start of the game, CJ particularly.
Yeah, that's right. It was there was a couple of opportunities for CJ. There was one where he sort of fluffed his lines and stuck it into the side netting, which everyone was sort of typically sort of rolling their eyes, or a typical CJ finish or not, as the case may be. And then a few minutes later, he had the ball. He had the ability, should we say, or the opportunity to cross the ball and sort of shanked it out of play. So, but that aside, the opportunities were there. We were actually creating something and looking, like you say, strong at the start of the game, and it was an encouraging opening sort of stanza for us, really. So, you're thinking, right, well, okay, now we've just got to keep going for another 85 minutes or whatever it was, and you just wondered, Cardiff are a good side. The third, I think it was, before Saturday for a good reason. They'd just beaten Wrexham away in the Cup, of course, the previous week as well. So we knew they were going to be very, very competitive. But yeah, nice, strong start for us, absolutely.
Nick, a couple of opportunities. Also, one coming for Bowler. He went on one of his trademark jinking runs, if you recall, but it was like he ran out of energy to get his shot.
Yeah, the shot didn't have the power, did it? that's where you want to see him try and curl it into the bottom corner. Hasn't quite got that yet, but again, the fact that we're getting in, he's getting into those pockets of space in those good positions, and actually, I think Evo's talked about this, that he's going to have to do the other side of the game, tracking and winning the ball. And he was doing that on Saturday as well while he was on the pitch, tracking back, getting a tackle in, which is something you don't necessarily associate with him. And I thought he did really well in that position, a bit more central. And like Matt says, with CJ, it's kind of that's CJ. He can get into those positions, and it could fly in the net, but it could also, like what happened on Saturday, he puts one in the side netting. I actually thought he'd scored that. I was guilty of cheering for a couple of seconds, and then you kind of with the guy next to
that's
each
from
other.
Your angle, that looks in, doesn't it? From how you
it
sit.
Did, yeah. And we kind of looked at each other and we were like, oh, better sit down again. But yeah, it was just great to see that we started with that energy. Pressing really well, getting into good positions. And it was, but then Cardiff came right back, didn't they? We had 15 minutes or so, and then they had a good 20 minutes of putting us under pressure and could easily have scored one or two. But it was entertaining, and I'll take that over what we had seen earlier in the season all day long.
Yeah. Matt, as Nick said there, Cardiff did come into the game. I noticed we were seriously exposed on their left, our right hand side. They were getting it in time and time again, and I thought, matter of time here before they score, and they really put us under severe pressure at that point in the game. Talk us through those passages of play and what you saw with Peacock Farrell, where the BPF show, I've entitled this bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know why I've only just noticed that, given that it's right across the bloody bottom. Concentrate on what you were saying for a change. Yeah, I mean, they did create a few chances, obviously, and it was sort of typical of, it wasn't quite end to end, because like Nick said, we sort of had a good 10 minutes, then they had a good 15 or 20 minutes. But we were, I don't know, were we under pressure, or was it just the fact that they created a little bit more? Probably the latter, really. We never really looked like we were going to sort of crumble, but the fact that the BPF showed, actually, I mean, I'm not going to say for the first time this year. I think you could argue that he's just got progressively better and better and better, in little sort of increments. And this weekend's display was as good as any I've seen off a keeper for a long, long time. There was everything that was confident about him. He caught everything that came his way. He tipped everything around the post or whatever. The back 3-5, whatever you want to call it, have got a little bit more confidence in him, and vice versa, I dare say. So all of a sudden, he's starting to look like the player that's got 50 international caps for Northern Ireland, and not the player that, quite frankly, we were all, not very complimentary over at the start of the season, and what we'd heard from Birmingham fans prior to that. But it's absolute fair play to him. He's proving, I guess, now why he is actually the number one goalkeeper in the club.
Nick, you bring you in on Bradley Peacock Farrell. Just to add to what Matt's just said, it's a good shout from Craig. He had a shit show going in front of him previously. That's a great shout.
Yeah, I think it's a very valid point that from Craig, because it's a two-way street, isn't it? If you've got a shaky defence, it can transmit onto the keeper and vice versa. And it was just a combination of things, wasn't it? We were conceding goals from set pieces, left, right, and centre. Nobody was taking any ownership. So it wasn't probably a massive surprise looking back to see some of what we saw. But I think, like Matt said, he's pulled out several great saves in that first half. I think it was their number 48, I think it was, if I'm remembering rightly, was just cutting through us, and the number 10, I think it was really pulling the strings as well. And he did. But I think, again, Matt said we didn't crumble, and we didn't. And you've got to look at the centre halves for that. They stood up, and I think if that's under Bruce, we probably go into what to maybe a couple of goals behind, possibly. We probably would have crumbled, but we stood strong, and we were saying at half time, what a good half of football it was, and thinking how's it going to go second half, because we've seen previous in the season where we've been a team that's had spells, 15 or 20 minutes, but then that's been it. Obviously under Evo, we've got that bit more direction, fitness, and we were able to really step it up in the second half.
Just before we get to the second half, Matt, there was a Bloxham's crash one against the post. Great technique. He's taken it out of the air on the half volley, on the volley. Controlled volley, and it was one of those slow motion incidents, wasn't it, from our vantage in the north? Yeah,
that's right. It never really looked like it was going to go in, obviously, but with the pace that it was sort of hit and all of it, you just never felt like it was one of those you were sort of oohing into the bottom corner. It was always going to go. Well, I was actually surprised that it hit the post, really, but it just showed that we're still in this game, and the fact that it was. I mean, it was bizarre that it was actually 0-0 at half time, really. I haven't seen any, you'll probably have them up at some point, but I haven't actually seen any first half stats and how many shots were sort of created on both sides. But I would bet there must have been at least half a dozen on target for Cardiff, and probably not too many dissimilar amount for ourselves as well. So the fact that it was 0-0 and like I say, Tom Bloxham, he's another one. He's sort of just incrementally just getting a little bit better. I saw him against Scunthorpe and he was huffing and puffing a wee bit, but he was just putting the effort in. And I'm you put the effort in and hopefully you get the rewards ultimately. And he's kept putting the effort in the last 3 or 4 games and not had anything. And hopefully after Saturday, it's a bit of a turnaround for him as well.
He does look like he's getting fitter with every game as well.
He looks a lot leaner, I'll be honest. Yeah. Not that I, get my tape measure out and measure his girth every week or anything, but he does look a lot leaner.
Yeah.
So hopefully, he's he maybe knuckle down a bit as well behind the scenes.
Nick, straight after we've crashed one against the post, they've gone down the other end and Peacock Farrell saved us again. I was squinting to see this. Not if you could see a better from your angle, slightly different angle on it. It looked like he'd saved it with one hand. It was like one that kind of squirmed through to him. It was a great save under pressure and very, very vitally important at that period in the game as well.
Yeah, yes, probably one of the pick of the bunch. And he made quite a few saves, didn't he? It was superb. And like I said before, it could have been, I don't know, anything at half time that game, but for Peacock Farrell, it could easily probably been 2-1 to them, 2-2, all sorts of but just entertaining. And we've probably created, in that game more than we have done probably under Bruce all season, because I'm not a fan of XG, but you put it up every week and it was 0 point something, wasn't it? Most weeks.
0.3. This is actually only 0.39 in the first half. That was 0.91. I've
What
got
was
the
it
whole
for the whole
match at
game?
the end. I've got the whole. No, this is just the first half. I've got the whole match stats at the end. But yeah, we did seem to create more than that, didn't we? We only had actually 2 shots on target. There's Bowler and Bloxham. Don't you want to?
I think there was just a lot of winning the ball back, wasn't there? And a lot of during that decent spell in the first 20 minutes where we were getting into good positions, even if it didn't result necessarily in a shot on target. It was very good play to get up into that position in the first place.
I mean, they've had, just looking at it now, they've had 3 big chances missed, and that's all thanks to Peacock Farrell. Very strange for a team, particularly like Cardiff, to miss all these gilt-edged chances. Well, not miss them. BPF saved the money.
Yeah. Was it in the first half as well? I thought the better of the 3 or 4 saves, whatever, was the one where he was sort of like wrong-footed and he had to sort of switch his whole body weight over to the right-hand side. I thought it was a really good save.
There was that full-length one when it was going into his bottom right as well. And then he smothered one 1-to-1 like straight after that as well.
That's right, yeah. It was very good. It was very good.
So yeah, it's a bit like Harry Tyre, isn't it? He started very shakily last season.
But again, you do wonder, don't you? I mean, what goes on behind the scenes and all the rest of it, and we've scratched our head over why Horsfall hasn't been playing, pre-Evatt era, and obviously, he comes back in and with Casey and Ihekwe as well. I mean, with respect, League One 3 centre halves, you're not going to get that many better than 3 if they're all fit, and you can imagine that you don't hear it as much. In a bigger crowd, but you imagine that they're pretty good at communicating. So hopefully it's all sort of clicking together a wee bit, really. But so just Peacock Farrell had to make some saves. It just sort of built a bit more confidence, weirdly, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So half-time came and unusually we made a half-time sub. Ashworth being replaced. Coulson being replaced by Ashworth. Matt, come back to you on this. Big fan of Ashworth. Was it tactical? Was it injured? But either way, it worked, didn't it? Because Ashworth was superb in that second half.
Yeah, he was. Was it an injury? I wasn't.
Hip injury. Yeah.
Right. He's made of not so stern stuff. It seems Coulson. He always seems to get knocks and injuries and all the rest of it at the moment. Whether that's just a, one of those things where you do have sort of continual sort of injuries because you're overcompensating on one side of your body to the other, and then all of a sudden a different muscle goes or whatever. Or I mean, in this case, it might have been a knock. But however, the fact is you've got Ashworth there who, despite, some might say that Evatt didn't get on well with it, Bolton for whatever reason. I don't know if that's just hearsay or what have you. He's played really well for us the last 3 or 4 games, stepped up, made us look even more solid, quite frankly, because I think that's what the difference is plainly between Coulson and Ashworth. One is a natural sort of left back, and one's a left winger that's converted there. So you're always going to get a little bit more solidity with Ashworth. So I had no issues with him coming on, and I would imagine, injuries permitting and all the rest of it, I would think he would probably be the next starter on Saturday away at Burton.
So Nick, the second half started on fire for Blackpool, and there's nobody better than Ashley Fletcher, who danced into the box, and they just let him get as near as he wanted, and he going, all right, cheers, smashed it in with his left foot.
Yeah, well, it came from, I think it was actually BPF played the ball out, and it very nearly went to a Cardiff player. It was a bit of a heart in the mouth moment, and it's ended up going to Honeyman. He's fed it to Bowler. And obviously Cardiff are pressing, aren't they, which has helped us to be able to break. And then he's fed Fletch and put it onto his left foot and confidently finished it in the top corner, I will say. I've watched the replay a couple of times. There was some talk whether he'd like Bryson's said in the comments, he shanked it. But I don't know. I'd like to think he knew what he was doing. And I don't care, to be honest. It's hit the back of the net, and that's all that matters. And it was a great breakaway goal, really quick the way we moved the ball. A lot of space, I think, because they were pushing up. But we take it all day long.
Didn't shank it, did he, Matt?
I don't think. I think it was definitely his weaker foot, isn't it? His left foot. So maybe there might have been a bit of a not very.
Your technique is different as a footballer, where you strike a ball with your left. I find that when I it's more kind of just controlled than smashed. It was
and it did help, that it was a bit weird that Cardiff defending, wasn't it? He just
stood off him all the way to the 6-yard box.
Yeah, he just sort of escorted him into the air, and maybe that was it. You see, maybe he was thinking, he's only going to go on his right foot, and he obviously didn't. So it was a bit weird, but that's their problem, not ours, thankfully. But it was nice to see it hit the back of the net, of course, and maybe this is it. We've got another player like Fletcher who, won the
Reborn,
got the Player of the Year award last year, dubious or otherwise, and but he did have that spell, didn't he, where he looked a really decent player, and now we're hoping that obviously this this might do exactly what he needs to obviously sort of kickstart his own season as well.
Nick, I've written in my notes and put on the banner there: Cardiff, double danger and pressure. Not long after we'd scored, another top draw save from BPF, if you can remember, full length save, a ball given away in dangerous area. Was it Brown who gave it away?
Could have been.
It was a misplaced pass, and
he did have a couple of misplaced passes, Brown, particularly in the first half. But in his defence, it was when he was trying to make things happen. At least, it wasn't just an aimless hoof to nobody. He was trying to make things happen. So it was uncharacteristic. But if he's trying to do it in a positive, for a positive, then I'm not going to be too critical. Yeah, but again, they came back into it, and another very good save. There was another one where I think there was that many different. And the thing is, I was watching the highlights, and the match highlights on YouTube. It literally just shows the goal. Shows the goals and blocks them hitting the post. It didn't show any of the stuff in between, because you forget some of it, don't you, when there's that much happening in the game.
It's like I've got in my notes here, right? 53 minutes, 60 minutes, 61 minutes, 64, 65, 70, 72, 75. I was like, this whole game, fucking hell, I can't keep up.
Yeah.
The one a massive moment in the game, 60 minutes, when the Cardiff lads missed that absolute sitter of a header. That's the one where you just nod it back where it's come from, and it's nestling in the back corner. I couldn't believe when that went wide. That was another game-changing moment.
Yeah, heart in mouth moment, isn't it? I think I just grabbed hold of Jim's arm and we kind of looked at each other, and I was like, how's that missed? How's that missed? And that's when you maybe start to think, could it
dream then? Don't
yeah, you? Could it be our day? Yeah, we rode our luck a little bit, but I think you're playing a side that are third in the league. They're gonna create chances, aren't they?
Yeah, Matt, the Ashworth show again. Let's come to that. If you remember, another corner, another set piece corner from Evo. This is not something you would not have seen under Steve Bruce. Another great routine and a bit of a thunderbolt of a shot from Ashworth and a great save from the Cardiff keeper.
Yeah, I think we've noticed already that there was, if I remember rightly, there was a sort of a similar routine against Scunthorpe in the Cup, and there was that one obviously on Saturday as well. And you just think this is a bit better than just floaty, crappy balls into the box, hoping that somebody gets on the end of it.
There's nothing I hate more in life than a floated corner. You might as well go on, there you go, centre half, have it, head it away.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just a half-arsed effort to do something, isn't it? But there is actually now some, planning and thought and training. You can see what's going on. Not just in the, in the open play situations, but on the dead ball stuff as well. And Evatt obviously alluded to that when he first got the, when he got the job, didn't he? Literally his first interview all day. He was saying about, set pieces are quick wins, aren't they? That's how he described them, I think. So it's good to see that we're doing a little bit different. And if it was one of those where it was a couple of yards either side of the keeper who made a decent save anyway, which was fairly central, then it would have been a good goal for him. But it's just nice that we're actually looking capable of doing something off a corner instead of, I don't know, meh corners in the past that we've done.
Nick, Block's unlucky again. Let's talk about Tom Bloxham again. He's coming into the game once again in the second half. I've put interchange and shot tipped around.
Yeah, he had a few chances, didn't he? And obviously it was up the other end. There was the one as well where I actually thought he'd scored. He dinked it over the keeper. And I'm not quite sure what happened, whether did it get cleared or come off the post? I can't remember because I couldn't quite got cleared.
See. Yeah, that
did it get cleared?
We need Mitch here for this, don't we?
Yeah, I was just waiting for. It was obviously at Mitch's end. I was just waiting for the ball to hit the net, and he, to be fair to him, he just didn't stop. He didn't give up. He kept going. I did wonder whether he was going to get his reward. Cleared off the line. Yeah, couldn't quite see that. Just was waiting for it to hit the back of the net, and I was just thinking, is it going to be another frustrating afternoon for him with all of that effort that he was putting in? Certainly, through no lack of effort on his part, and he kept going, and he's looking fitter and fitter each game as well. I think some of these games where he's looked knackered after 30 minutes, but we managed to get 90 out of him. Is now doing in the world of good that time on the pitch.
Matt, Nick mentioned a dink, and there was another dink, and what a dink on 70 minutes. Talk us through it.
Yeah, it was a good goal, wasn't it? On the break, really. I think now I'm not getting my goals mixed up, so there's sort of similarities between the two, really. But the ball, I remember obviously the ball came out to Bloxham, who controlled it well. Sort of turned and out-muscled his man.
He's very good at doing that with his back. He's back to a keeper, back to a defender. I don't know how he does it. He'll squirm, wrestle, and then he comes away with the ball and past him, doesn't he?
He was good at doing that when he first joined us. He hasn't done it for a long time, has he? But then, this is what comes of being fitter and more confident, I guess, isn't it? These are the things you can do, and then, it was just like, as the old song goes, Blackpool are back, but Bloxham is back, sort of thing, and that turn and pass, and then it was Hansen, wasn't it, who actually won the ball initially, didn't he, Hansen, and passed it to Bloxham possibly. But anyway, and Hansen obviously came on and had the legs to outpace the Cardiff defender, and then intelligently laid it off for Fletcher, who just drew the keeper nicely, and like you say, dinked it over. And it just seemed to take forever to go in, but it just about got there ahead of the defender. Yeah, great goal. Great goal.
I mean, for me, Hansen, it looked like he'd really drilled that pass to Fletcher, and his first touch in that pressure situation, it was immense.
Yeah,
the way he controlled that ball, and perfect first touch.
Yeah, it was absolutely. Yeah, I mean, fair play. I mean, it was quite not a difficult ball to control, but like you say, in the circumstances, it could quite easily have lost concentration or whatever. But yeah, he just did everything right, didn't he? So absolutely fair play to the three of them, I'll say, in that particular goal. Yeah, absolutely.
Four goals now for Fletcher, Nick, and he's so cool under high pressure situations. Fletcher, he's ice cold.
He is. I was trying to think. He scored a similar goal last. It might have been at Harrogate, possibly in the Pizza Cup. Just a very, very calm and clever finish, and that is what. And I suppose the frustration with him sometimes is when he's not in games and he goes missing. And he's perhaps not got that instinct, but then you look at that on Saturday and think, wow, one of the coolest finishes you're going to see. Lincoln, fair enough, yeah. Absolutely brilliant. And his overall play as well. It wasn't just his 2 goals. I did think that was a good job. Let's not slag CJ off too much. But going back to Fletch, his link-up play, he's got the assist as well. He's a very, very intelligent footballer, and hopefully that's, a bit of a kickstart for him. And I just think he's one of, probably all of the team who are benefiting under this manager and in this system as well. I think it goes to show, we talked many times this season, haven't we, that as poor as we've been, we felt there was, this squad was capable of a lot more than what we were seeing. And, now we're seeing it.
Yeah, I'll just add, Nick, that it's interesting that everyone, I don't know, not everyone, certain managers who we've had in the recent past have just assumed that just because Bloxham and Fletcher are 6'3" and 4 each or whatever they are, that you just lump it forward to the big lad. Where it's evident that we might have to occasionally, obviously, but we're doing it a little bit more cuter, should we say? We are trying to obviously play football through the middle and utilize Bowler or Hansen or whoever happens to be in that sort of number 10 role, and Honeyman and Brown as well. But it's I think I can't remember who it was now. Somebody picked up on the chat earlier that a lot of the distribution from Peacock Farrell was thrown out rather than just hoofed up as well, and all that makes it a little bit more of a, I don't know, more opportunity to have the ball under control and play actually football rather than just flicking it on, the ball going through to the goalkeeper or whatever that we've been used to in the past. So, I just thought I'd just throw that in really, because I think there's just a little bit more science to the whole thing that there was a few weeks ago now.
Yeah.
This is a really interesting comment from Craig. I've not heard this. He credited that finish to Dobbs. Where I sit, Nick, I've got a great view of the pre-match shooting drill that they do. I posted a short on our YouTube channel, just to show what goes on there. Fletcher actually did this dinked finish in that warm-up.
Did he?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which I unfortunately didn't record, because I only recorded half of it. And he credits it to Dobbs. I wonder what that means. Did anyone hear his post-match?
No, he's obviously but just again, another thing that we've probably been working on the training ground, like Matt mentioned before, with set pieces, and we're starting to see what's happening on the training ground, obviously happening on the pitch, which is fantastic to see.
Yeah. Okay. Lines for CJ, Matt. It was a good substitution at that period in the game, and it solidified us, and again it put us on the front foot in the same time. So it was a good sub for me. That.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we mentioned earlier, you could quite easily have put Lyons and Ashworth in the starting 11, and you wouldn't have been disappointed, I don't think, really. Obviously, CJ gives you a little bit more, I guess, from an attacking perspective. But equally, 15 minutes to go, or probably nearer 20, 25 minutes, that Lyons is going to be, reliable enough in a defensive mode, and he's still, can give you something going forward as well. So it absolutely made sense.
Okay, Nick, I don't think we've got the order slightly wrong. I've put 80 in my notes, block some dink, what you've just missed, and then and then the goal. It finally came, his goal in 81 minutes, and you were thinking after all these chances he's missed at the post, it's not going to be his day.
And it was probably one of the harder ones he had again.
Yeah, I'd say it was.
It came from a Cardiff attack, didn't it? We've won possession back off them. Fletcher's fed it to Blocks, who's timed his run perfectly. Again, hell of a lot of space because of us being on the counter attack and Cardiff pushing forward, and he's took it wide past the keeper, and you're thinking, has he given himself too much to do there? But no, he's slotted it perfectly into the net, and well deserved. He deserved that for all of his effort, all of his running, and he didn't let his head go down because he could have, probably should have had at least one more. Could have had a hat trick, and he's finally got that goal and fully deserved, and hopefully, he can kick on now because we know what he's capable of, and that will give him confidence to keep going.
Hell of an angle, David's just said, Matt. It does look like it did look like he'd taken it too far around, and it was just a joyous moment when that slowly rolled into the back of the net, and it was like a massive pressure cooker release when that third went in. The 3 points were guaranteed to be in the bag. What a moment and what an atmosphere when that goal went in.
Yeah, it was tremendous because even though, at 2-0 up and Cardiff were pressing, hence the breakaway goals that we had, but the opportunities they were creating, still made it a very exciting game and interesting game. Had they've got one back, that's for sure. You wonder what would happen, but that's all by the by now. I mean, it was a great finish, and that was even with us current sort of predicament, you still thought 3-0, right? Yeah, that should really be game over. And I think everyone felt, I don't know, elation, whatever the word is for Bloxham, because, like I said, I think he more than most, has had a bit of a tough time over the last few weeks. Whether that's sort of a bit of self-infliction, I don't know, but he's certainly coming out coming onto the player that we all hoped he would be after those first few games that we saw last season from him. Confidence is an amazing thing, isn't it? It really is.
Shame Mitch isn't here for this one. Release the Bondo, Nick. Could have been 6. Could have been 6. We released the Bondo, and we were nearly on the pitch. If Bondo scores, we're on the pitch. Was the chant again coming from the north.
I know, he's got a hell of a record, hasn't he? I think have we not won every time he's he's come on as
no Bondo, no party
sub this season. So Mitch is putting it purely down to the fact that we give him 5 minutes at the end of every game. Long may it continue if it means we keep winning. And I dare say he might get some more time on the pitch tomorrow. It's tomorrow, isn't it, at Tranmere? Yeah. Because we're through in that competition, aren't we? So we might give a couple of the kids a chance, although I think you've got to still play a good number of first teamers. But yeah, it was great to see. Like Matt said, I think when that third went in, you never quite relax, but it was like, we should have done enough now, thankfully, and we could relax a little bit, although we did blot our copybook just towards the end.
Cardiff goal, Matt. If you want BPF to make one mistake, you want it to make it when we're 3-0 up and in the final minute of added time. Just a shot that just unfortunately squirmed from his grasp.
Yeah, and I sort of felt for him as well because he'd done nothing wrong prior to that, had he? We've obviously had a good 5 or 10 minutes talking about him tonight. And you just thought, for fuck's sake, it was one of those, wasn't it, where you just thought, you could look back at it again and you just thought he could have parried it out or whatever, and maybe it was overconfidence. He thought he could grasp hold of it and he just sort of squirmed away. And then, obviously the lad wasn't going to miss from literally a yard out or whatever. But that aside, it was probably 30, 40 seconds to go, wasn't it, when they scored? It's just a shame because those defenders and the goalkeeper especially would be, they crave clean sheets, don't they? So it's just a shame we weren't able to see it out. But yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those.
We've not mentioned George Honeyman all pod. I don't know how his name hasn't naturally come into the conversation for this match, but he was an absolute dynamo all game. What a game he had! What a difference and what a performance! He was running around like a 21-year-old throughout the match, and he made a massive impact on the game. George Honeyman, big up.
Yeah, well, we know he's a quality player, isn't he? Played at decent level at for a lot of his career, and was a bit unlucky with his injury, but back to his best on Saturday and makes such a difference, to the midfield and then to the whole team because of his energy, and he stopped Cardiff playing a lot. He's just buzzing round constantly, and it makes a massive. We talked before about how Evans is a kind of likes to slow it down, whereas with Honeyman he's just and he reads the game so well. He almost anticipates where the ball's going, what's going to happen, and he's just in the right place at the right time. It allows Brown to do what he's good at as well. I think they complement each other really, really well. He drives the team on. He'll be on in the ref's ear as well. Fantastic, all action and just what you need in the centre of the park. I've said many times, if you win that midfield battle, then more often than not you don't lose the game. And I thought he was great on Saturday.
Bisons, I don't want to think you're leading the conversation there by saying you haven't mentioned it once. That came into my thought process before I read that, but he has got a point, Matt, hasn't he?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know what to add actually from what Nick's just said. He's a quality professional, isn't he? He's done his rehab, he's come back, and then within he's just managed to do 90 odd minutes, and he looked like he could probably do another 90 odd minutes as well. Amazing engine, testament to his own natural fitness. And I think somebody mentioned earlier, he talks well. He's obviously a cliche, but he's a winner, and this is what you want at this level. He's somebody who can drive a team forward, be an example to everybody, and hopefully everyone can sort of grab a little piece of that as well and up their own game. He'll demand that in the dressing room. I'm pretty sure of it. Great pro, great. I'm just glad he's on our side. The only thing I do have concerns over, I guess, is that, you think back to the early season, he was very much a marked man, wasn't he? And he was kicked to pieces by certain teams. And you just hope that there's some decent, strong referees out there who give him a little bit of protection. And, I'm sounding like he's Messi or Ronaldo or something. And obviously he's not that sort of player, but he's so pivotal to us that the last thing we want is, Stevenage's number 16 or whatever it was to kick him in the air like they did that game. So I hope that we, wrap him up in cotton wool before Burton, and then he can run around like a lunatic again for another 90 odd minutes next Saturday.
Just you mentioned refs there, Matt. I'm going to mention the ref from Saturday, who I thought was very, very good. He let things flow. It wasn't the slightest touch and he's blowing his whistle and it just becomes, the game just gets broken up and spoiled because of it. I thought he was great. Probably one of the best we've had in quite a while. It's thingy, isn't it?
Is he ex-Premier?
Is it Bobby Madley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought because we're very quick to criticise referees, aren't we? So I'm going to say fair play to him because he was very good for me.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of they do get a lot of slack, a lot of stick. Sorry, because of various things that happen. But the one thing you do want from referees is to be consistent. If you're going to let a game go in the first minute, let it go in the 91st minute. And he did that, and that's all you can ask and all you could expect. And I'm sure the players will appreciate that. And I know there was a bit of, I don't know, for whatever reason, Cardiff fans weren't happy with him. But maybe that's because they're used to a bit more, I don't know, referees are a little bit more sympathetic for whatever reason. But I thought the fact is you don't really notice him, really. He's just testament to his own performance, really. And, the conditions are such that obviously the pitch is still a bit sort of wet and greasy with the weather and all the rest of it. So tackles can go in. But I thought he was, the fact that I didn't really notice much about him, obviously is a good thing.
You asked for stats before, Matt. Here they are. Here are the whole match stats. 2.16 XG, which really illustrates how a good second half we had. It was like 0.6 in the first half. 19 shots on target, 19 total shots, 9 on target, 7 big chances, 5 big chances missed. And look at the accurate passing. It's compared to theirs, 167 to 385. It's nearly double. Mm-hmm. But look at that compared to what we've seen all season. I wouldn't be surprised if that expected goals total is nearly the total of what was created on Steve Bruce under his tenure.
That's what I've written in my notes. Probably more chances on Saturday than we had all season under Bruce. And you look at that, 7 big chances. And it just goes to show, what an entertaining game it was from both sides as well. Cardiff certainly played their part, didn't they, with that spell in the first half and the way they continued to press and push forward, and that certainly played into our hands. But yeah, you've got to give credit to the manager for the way he's setting us up, and he keeps talking about detail, and we're seeing these improved performances. And I'll be honest, I didn't necessarily expect to see perhaps such an improved performance quite so soon. Certainly the way we played in the second half as well, with that spell in the 20 minutes or so in the first half, it was fantastic, and long may it continue.
What do you put it down to, Matt? Big chances is the XG, and it really counts a massive difference than under Evans. Is it that simple? Can't be, surely. Just 1 point.
Well, no, it's funny, Rick, because like I said earlier, I didn't see the stats, but having seen them, you'd think we got mullered, wouldn't you, looking at that? And if I watch the game back in its entirety, I would bet that a lot of their possession were basically between the back 3 and 5 and the 2 in midfield that they had, that were just, knocking it sideways or back to the centre arse, perhaps. I'm not quite sure. I don't remember us being, hanging on for any particular moment, really. So it's interesting. But the big chances, yeah, I mean, they mainly all came, well, I say mainly, a lot of them came on the break. And then after Bloxham scored his goal, then there was one where he should have buried it as well. If I remember, sort of a volleyed sort of effort, it just sort of sat up nicely. And then obviously we mentioned earlier about CJ in the first couple of minutes. And all these are the big chances. But it just goes to show that because we're a bit more confident, we look a little bit more drilled. I mean, he's only had, is this his 3rd working week, but he's had on the training ground, Ian Evatt. And, the difference is just night and day, isn't it?
It really is. It's mind-boggling.
I know. And these players, when you see, you go back to, particularly when I listened to Jordan Brown's interview, I think it was after the Peterborough game. He said, I've gone on the pitch now and I know what I'm meant to be doing, or words to that effect. And you just think, it's just ridiculous, isn't it, that these players have been left to, flounder over the last few weeks. And now all of a sudden, they must love going into work. Absolutely love it, to quote Kevin Keegan. So, long may it continue.
Loving it under Ian Evatt. Love it. Right, this is going to be one of our toughest ever man of the match awards. I mean, take
tough for the right reasons for a change.
Yeah. I think sometimes we've not even want to do this segment because there's been no contenders. I mean, you've got Peacock, Farrell, obviously, Honeyman, Fletcher, Bloxham. Back 3 were superb. We've not mentioned Horsfall. We've not mentioned Casey. Heckway was good. Great performances throughout the 11. So, Nick, let's start with you. Penny, for your thoughts.
Well, I'm just looking at the kind of contenders I'd written down, and I've got Peacock, Farrell, Honeyman, Bloxham, Fletcher, and there's not much between any of them, bar maybe half a point on the fielding player rating system. I have to say, I was probably going to give Peacock Farrell I would have given him a 10, but for that, tiny little error at the end, which didn't really matter. So I'm probably going to go.
Nick, not player rating.
No, I know. I'm just saying this is how I was coming to the decision based on what I would have scored them, and it would have been probably a perfect 10 on the scoring. So I'm going to give it to Peacock Farrell, but with honourable mentions to those 3 others as well, because it was very, very close, and a lot of the rest of them were, had been 8s as well if he was scoring. So it's nice, isn't it, when you're looking at it from that point of view, instead of trying to pick out who was least shit, like we've had to do earlier in the season for man of the match. It's the other end of the scale, isn't it? I'm going to give it Peacock Farrell because, he has had some stick earlier in the season, and he's grown and grown in confidence, and that was as good a performance I've seen, and just in terms of not just his saves as well, but, when he was having to come for the ball as well. He's my man of the match.
I mean, Matt, there's obviously Fletcher as well, blocks and mentioned Honeyman. It's a nice problem to have this. Yeah,
it's a hair's breadth, isn't it, between 3 or 4 or 5 of them, really. The fact that Peacock Farrell kept us in the game, you could argue, the first half. And the confidence sort of grew from there. Like I said earlier, Honeyman coming back in and playing 90 minutes when probably he didn't expect to play as many minutes, but his engine is just unbelievable. And he just keeps everything ticking over. And whether he ticks it over or breaks it up, or he's just always involved, isn't he? He's like our own little Duracell bunny in the middle there. So, yeah, there's him. I'm just going to be sentimental for this one, and I'd give it Bloxham just because I think he's worked his what's it's off for the last few weeks without any reward whatsoever. And I thought just that, there was a couple of the second goal that he set up effectively, the third goal he scored, and then he did, that sort of weird turn the guy inside out
flick.
Yeah, the Burkamp flick. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. It was a proper off your seat moment, that, even though we're all stood up these days in the north. And so I really enjoyed that. And he's looking, like I said earlier, looking like the player that we hoped he would be. So I'll just give it him out of that reason. But it could have been any one of 4 or 5 others, quite frankly.
Yeah. Peacock Farrell for me. He's made his top draw saves at vital points in the game. If the ball's gone in, if we've conceded, do we create those other chances because the confidence levels have dropped? So after such a shaky start to the season, it's great to see him pulling off these string of saves, and the confidence is now flowing through him like the Force was Luke Skywalker on the Death Star. Right, player ratings. I don't know where that Star Wars nonsense came from. Player ratings. Quickly go around the room. Let's cut off Peacock Farrell next. You can start with him.
9+. Like I say, it would have been a 10, but for that little mistake at the end. But as good a performance as I've seen.
Do Hayden Coulson, Nick, and Matt, and also Zach Ashworth, left wing Matt.
Yeah, well, I'll be honest. I don't remember much that Coulson did, quite frankly, if I'm being brutally honest. And he obviously got injured at half time. So I guess a FOTMob have probably got it right with a 6.5 out of 10 there, really. And then when Ashworth came on, I thought he was more solid. So definitely nearer an 8 out of 10 for his 45 minutes.
Maybe we should write to FOTMob and say, would you like to license the use of the fielding player rating system rather than your 6.6? Superior system, in my opinion. Nick, Ollie Casey given a 6.9 by FOTMob. I'll say he should have got a higher score than that. Another player that has vastly improved and back to his previous levels. Now Steve Bruce has left the building.
Yeah, certainly. I think he's going to benefit with both Horsfall and Hekway in there as well. I think, 6.9's harsh. I'd add another point on top of that, and then so 7.9, and we'll round it up to 8.
Hekway, someone put Hackaway in the comments, which made me laugh. He had a good game, pretty solid.
Yeah, he was sort of stepping into midfield again, wasn't he? Occasionally, just to bring the ball out. And we might be consistent with the back 3 centre halves here, and I think we'll just give them. Well, I'll give him 8 as well. Really, I think it'd be a bit harsh to be any different to the other ones, perhaps.
Horsefield, Nick, like your friend in L Block branded him.
Yes, another 8 for me. I thought all of the centre halves had a decent game. We came under pressure certainly in that first half, and we stood up to it. I don't think they can be at fault for the goal. So yeah, overall, I thought he had a decent game. Even the guy in L Block might have been happy with that.
I have clipped
Forward!
that.
Forward!
That's it. Kick it.
I bet he
What
was
are you
loving
doing?
it when we
Bloody
were getting it
rubbish.
forward on the break. But we're telling everyone he was right.
I have clipped that superb segment with you, Nick, describing your L Block experience. It's gone viral-ish on our YouTube channel. I might stick it on TikTok. We have got a TikTok now, by the way.
Have we?
But yeah, if you're down with the kids and you're on TikTok, search us out. Yeah, I'm hoping Nick's L Block experience goes viral. It's hilarious.
Trying to forget about
Matt,
it.
I'll pay you the royalties, Nick. I think we're on 6p in the answer, so you can have the lion's share of that.
You too kind.
Matt, right wing back, which was CJ.
The enigma
do
that
you
is.
remember people were laughing at that shank in the first half? It was
Yeah, I was amongst them. It was like, oh my God. He was like, head in your hands. What on earth, But it's so typical, isn't it? And you just know that one minute it can produce some, and then unfortunately that was the opposite. But yeah, I don't know. A 7 out of 10 is just about right. I
I
think.
think that's fair, yeah.
Yeah. I might be being a bit generous. I don't know.
I'd go 6, personally.
Yeah, let's round him down. Bless him.
I can't wait for Imre to be back. We're going to be dynamite with him in the side. Him and Ennis to come back. Right, Nick, Jordan Brown. Not his best of games, a lot of misplaced passes, but he did a good, solid job.
Yeah. And like I said earlier in the show, I think some of it was at least he was trying to make something happen with it. It wasn't just, panicking and it was an aimless hoof to nobody. Bit uncharacteristic, but I still think he had a fairly decent game, so I'm going to go 7+.
The midfield wasp, dynamo wasp, that is George Honeyman, Matt, 7.7 on FOTMob. Got to be higher on our FPRS system.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's I don't know where they get these stats from, but what maybe FOTMob doesn't see, we can certainly see him buzzing around a lot, can't we? So yeah, I think I would happily give him at least a 9.
I had 9+ in my head. What did you have, Nick, just out of interest?
I had a 9.
Yeah. 11+ from Bisons. Right. Josh Bowler, Nick, playing in the 10 as a Keshi Anderson. How do you think he did?
I thought he did pretty well. It's a shame he's got injured, and I think Evo mentioned it might be his calf. So let's just keep our fingers crossed that it isn't going to be for any length of time, because he's another one who, starting to get looking fitter, and like he could benefit under Evo. And if he can get him playing in that 10 and playing him, because let's be honest, his strength is picking the ball up and running with it, so it doesn't have to be out wide that he does that. If he can find those pockets like he did on Saturday and drive forward and do it centrally, then happy days. That'll be great to see. So overall, I think he had a decent game, and like I said before, he's starting to do the other side of it as well, which is something that it was almost, at times he was a bit of a luxury player, wasn't he? You didn't get that side of the game from him, that tracking back and trying to win the ball back, and he's starting to do that as well. So fingers crossed it isn't something that's going to, keep him out for 6 weeks. Then he's got to rebuild his fitness again. So I'm going to go 8.
Just a quick mention for Emil Hansen as well, Nick. He came on, replaced Bowler. Both wingers, both did a great job in that hole, like you said. He made a big difference as well when he came on. It's great to see them.
He did.
Two very technical players.
They are. Yeah, they're obviously both very skillful, and it's been a bit hit and miss with Hansen as well, hasn't it, at times this season? He's looked a little bit lost, a little bit lightweight at times, but then you've seen brief spells of stuff where you think he's got something about him. So who knows, if Josh is out, then it potentially gives him the opportunity to play there. Obviously did well on the break for one of the goals. So yeah, I mean, you wondered when Evo came in that, you know, what was going to happen for the wide players, the wingers, because we're not going to play with them, and if we can convert them to something else, then happy days.
Also got the £1 million man to come back. Yeah, Tony, I forgot about that. Forgotten about him. Dale Taylor. Taylor will do well in this team. Certainly will. Another player that will be reborn.
I hope so. Yeah, absolutely. There'll be all these. There's a couple of players obviously that we're missing, and you can imagine now that they're all itching to get back and wanting to get involved in this. So yeah.
Whereas previously they were thinking, "Oh God, I might prolong my injury. I might."
Yeah, you just don't know. The funny breed, aren't these footballers sometimes? Anyway,
Okay,
where are we up to?
Yeah, we're up to Matt. You can take Ash Fletcher 9.4 on the.
I have never ever seen a blue number on this screen ever. I don't think. I mean, that is stratospheric. I mean, what on earth? 9.4. I mean, I wouldn't actually say it was a 9.4 performance particularly. Obviously, got his couple of goals,
assists as well. Don't forget.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe this is it. Maybe it was a 9.4. I'm going to be consistent though. I mean, he scored his goals, but he wasn't any better than Honeyman, so I'm going to go 9. You know, for different reasons.
Okay, Nick. Round the soft, Tom Bloxham, probably his best performance so far in a tangerine shirt.
Yeah, I actually I'd have Fletcher at 9+ just because of the two goals and the assist, and I had Blocks at 9 because obviously he's run his heart out. Yeah, he's missed a couple, but he's not given up, and he's taken his goal very, very well. Probably the hardest chance of the lot. So yeah, I'll go for 9 for Blocks.
Manager rating, Matt. What more can we say about Evo? We've waxed lyrical night and day between him and Steve Bruce, and who would have thought we'd be beating Cardiff City 3-1 and deserving the win?
Yeah, I mean it's not just the win, is it? It's the fact now that we've got that optimism back that we just hadn't got 3 or 4 weeks ago at all. You know, we were very much glooming and dooming, weren't we, all over the place?
I've been sat reading the league table today, working out how far away we are from the playoffs, and 10 points, and I never thought I'd be doing that this season.
I know, and I mean, we all, crikey, hope's a great thing, but it can kick you in the nuts at times, can't it? And you just hope that, you know, Saturday comes and we get 3 points at Burton, which you're obviously at the moment, you know, it's one of those teams around us, isn't it? And then the momentum really is sort of with us then, because yeah, we've got players coming back, we've got decent players that we already knew about. It was just a matter of getting them working right, and obviously Ian Evatt coming in and talking the way he is in pre and post match interviews. It is completely, as you would expect, a manager to actually talk, and you know the work that he's obviously doing with proper coaches on the training ground and getting seemingly the buy-in off the players as well. You know, it's all positive stuff. So, but as far as Saturday goes, you know, he didn't put a foot wrong, did he? So, you know, it has to be I don't know. I'll be consistent and give it 9, really. I think the only thing you might do differently is possibly have played Ashworth ahead of Coulson at the start.
Nick?
I'd pretty much echo what Matt said there. Yeah, it's he's got everything pretty much spot on. You know, you could maybe have started Ashworth, but it's, you know, I'm nitpicking there. It's chalk and cheese, isn't it, from what we'd seen earlier in the season. It was fantastic to see, and hopefully it does continue on Saturday. It's going to be interesting when, so obviously, like I've said, Cardiff played their part on Saturday, and the fact that they pushed with that high line certainly helped us with our pace, hitting them on the counter attack. What was the possession? 34%, but we were very, very useful in that 34%. You know, if it's a different story on Saturday, you know, it's going to be interesting to see can we grind out a 1-0 if teams aren't pushing out, and we maybe don't get that space in behind like we had on Saturday. But we'll certainly be going there we've got tomorrow night to come. But it's all about the league for me on Saturday, and we'll be going there with confidence.
Just looking back at Burton's form, Matt, they've
Just
had
won
some
at
decent-
Bradford, haven't they? That was a good win.
Yeah. And guess
And they
who
beat
scores?
Cardiff.
Bees
They beat
is scoring
Cardiff as
a
well,
few,
didn't
isn't he?
Yeah.
Did they beat Bolton as well? I'm sure. Did I read
Yeah,
that
I believe if they've got a shocking home record though, it's the away record that's really good
Let's have a look.
for some reason.
Let's have a look. Oh yeah, you're right. Well, they've played 7, won 2, drawn 1, lost 4. They've only scored 5 at home, conceding 10 goals.
Right.
Gary Bowyer there, obviously, decent, very good manager, Gary Bowyer.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that
Excellent.
continues then. They have another loss on Saturday, but we'll be confident. I'm sure. We're certainly in a more organised crew than we were a few weeks ago. So they'll be confident enough to go there and hopefully get some positive result for us.
I mean, let's hope we have a big following. I went last year, really enjoyed the experience at Burton. It's a nice ground, good grub there if anyone's been. And the tickets are very, very reasonably priced. I think it's 19 quid for adults. And they've got a family ticket, 2 adults, 2 kids, 45 quid. Kids go very cheap. So it's, well done Burton for pricing their football at sensible levels. Orient's 30 quid for adults. Like very meagre discount for juniors as well. So I'm going anyway. Any of you two? Matt, obviously you're not going, are you? She'll be.
No, a long way to going back from Australia. Yeah, I'll be it's Saturday. Yeah, I'll be a couple of days in by that point, so I won't be able to watch it or anything.
You unloyal supporter, not jetting back from Perth to return and then going back again.
Yeah, disgraceful. I'll be thinking about you all, obviously.
Right. Now we're going to get on and get Burton then. Quick with predictions, then let's head off the evening.
I'm gonna go 1-0 to Poole. Free kick header from Casey, to be precise.
I'll go 1-2 Poole.
I'm going confident. I think we're going to fire again. I think we're going to carry our form into that game. 3-1 to Blackpool, with Bees getting a last-minute consolation goal, which the Blackpool fans lightly applaud. Give the Bees chant. Right, on that note, I think we'll leave it there. Sorry, Nick, we are 107, but we had to eulogise over the fantastic performance that we saw at home to Cardiff. I think we're not doing those boys justice had we not done that. Burton coming up, Tranmere tomorrow, so there's a lot to look forward to, and we're reborn. This club and team is reborn under Ian Evatt, and the only way is up as far as I'm concerned. Speaking of up, our like and subscribe count, our subscriber numbers on YouTube are 1,930 when I last looked. So we're very near to 2,000. So tell your friends, tell your family, subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Be really appreciated. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for input. And come on, you Pool. The Pool are back. Come on, the Pool.
The Pool.
What the Pool?
Love the Pool.
Been involved in 2, can he make 3? Not on this occasion. Well taken by Walsh. Davis is on the far side, Ainscough coming square. That's the ball. That's a good try!